Don't Listen Alone, Short Horror Stories by Layla Brinley. Episode 14, The Wendigo. I've been looking forward to this camping trip for months. Northern Minnesota, as close to the Canadian line as you can get without crossing into Canada. It's supposed to snow all this weekend, though not nearly as heavy as it is now, which is good. If it keeps snowing this hard, I'll never get a fire going. But I've never camped in the snow before, so I'm excited for the new experience. After sitting in my tent for another hour doing nothing but reading, the snow finally slowed enough for me to build a fire. I collected twigs and logs from underneath trees where it was driest, piling them about 10 feet away from my tent. Shoving a balled-up paper bag into the middle of the wood, I lit it with a match. The fire quickly devoured the paper, spreading onto the twigs and then the logs. That was good, because it was getting dark quickly. I retrieved a hot dog from my pack and had just began cooking it over the fire when I heard a crack from the woods surrounding my small clearing. "Hello?" I called into the trees. Ugh, classic stupid horror movie move. Ignoring the feeling of dread pooling in my stomach, I put down my hot dog and crept forward. Another crackle sounded. It seemed closer. I still advanced, curiosity taking over. The fire popped behind me and I jumped, shattering my fixation on the forest. I shook my head, disappointed in myself. Was I really such a fool to go towards the mysterious sound? Every horror fan with any common sense knows that that's how you get yourself killed, decapitated or bled dry for some other unsuspecting camper to find your lifeless body. I settled down into my camp chair, crushing the few snowflakes that had fallen onto it in my absence. Tense, I finished up my hot dog and retreated into my tent, leaving the fire burning outside. I felt safer in the confines of its plasticky walls. Settling into my sleeping bag, I clicked on the lantern hanging from the ceiling of the tent and grabbed my book out of my backpack. Flipping to my bookmarked page, I began to read. The chapter talked of Minnesota's folklore monsters, specifically the Wendigo, a fearsome cannibalistic beast with thick fur and antlers of a moose, transformed into its monsterly state by committing an act of cannibalism while still human. The tale branched from Native American culture, dating back before the Pilgrims had even entered America. With this newfound knowledge drifting in my head, I burrowed into my sleeping bag and fell asleep. It was 3:11 when I awoke to a long scratching sound along the side of my tent. I tentatively opened my eyes, being careful not to move. It took everything in me not to let out a scream of fright as a long, clawed arm reached into my tent through a long gash torn in the side. I scooted away from the arm, pressing myself against the opposite side of the tent. The arm swept along the floor, likely searching for me. Whatever had been reaching into my tent must have given up, though, because the arm withdrew and I heard heavy footsteps moving away. I sat still, holding my breath for at least a minute after I couldn't hear the footsteps anymore. When I was sure it was gone, I exhaled, thankful to be safe. I was wrong, though. As soon as the breath left my lips, I was yanked through the side of my tent, the fabric of the siding tearing. There was a sudden sensation of pain, and blood poured down my neck. For the split second my decapitated head was still alive, I saw the mythological Wendigo. It dragged away my dead body and disappeared into the trees. As the world faded to dark, I wished that some myths would just be fake. Thank you for listening to the Don't Listen Alone Scary Stories podcast. Please like this episode and follow the channel. Thank you.